And it was an unfortunate distinction that she made, and it's a distinction that the Bush administration has continued, and I think with very unfortunate results. I mean, if you're going to deal with a country, you have to deal with the system of that country. You can't pick the parts that you
and
like.
the positives, not the negatives. Really.
You have to accept the system. When we deal with China, we accept the Communist Party of China. When we deal with Russia, we deal with Vladimir Putin. Yeah. He certainly does things we don't like.
So we're talking about here that missed opportunity on the part of the U.S. administration.
But there was a missed opportunity on the Iranian side, too.
Do you like to elaborate on that?
Sure, because Clinton, at the same time, he sent lots of messages to Iran that he wanted to have a beginning of a dialogue. And he even named a delegation of 3 men that were to go. Bruce Riedel, who was on the National Security Council, Thomas Pickering, who was the Undersecretary of State, and David Welch, who was a Deputy Assistant Secretary of State at the time. And he named the delegation. He said, they'll meet with you anywhere you want to start a process of discussing all the problems between us. And Iran did not respond. And you know, the time elapsed. There were some other issues. There was a
this was Clinton time.
This was Clinton. There was a terrorist bombing in Saudi Arabia in 1996 that Iran had a hand in, we believe, U.S. government believes. And Clinton sent Khatami a letter asking for his cooperation to resolve this Khobar Towers bombing. And Khatami did not. He sent back a reply saying we're not involved. And
probably has been under pressure.
But this was also a missed opportunity at that time as well, because he could have perhaps given a different response. But Iran, of course, was going through a very difficult internal situation. Khatami was fighting constantly to institute reforms in that country, and he had a lot of enemies. And had he been able to improve the relationship with the United States, it could have helped him if the U.S. perhaps had promised more dramatic steps, easing some of the sanctions on the oil industry, for example. You know, perhaps it could have helped, but it couldn't get there. It just didn't happen under Clinton.
Yes. Okay, there is this myth among Iranians, especially the one inside Iran, that, like during Bush administration, that Bush is here to save us. Bush is going to change the government. It's just like, at least, if not majority, half of the people, they think that America is going to save. At the same time that they resent what America did during Mossadegh time,
right.
But at the same time, it's just they're waiting for this angel to come and do something.
Right.
How did you see that being among people? Did you hear that?
I did, although, you know, I heard it in 2001, December 2001, very strongly, because the U.S. had just gotten rid of the Taliban in Afghanistan, with Iran's help, by the way, and the help of groups that Iran had supported in Afghanistan. I heard it even to some extent in 2005. In January, I went when the Iraqis were voting. You know, remember the famous purple finger election when they were all very enthusiastic and they dipped their finger in the purple ink. I heard it in 2005. When I went in 2006, I didn't hear it so much anymore because Iraq was already a mess, and a lot of Iranians were beginning to understand that
kind of democracy doesn't work.
That the Bush administration was not going to be able to save them, and that if it tried, it was going to cause bloodshed in Iran that they really didn't want to see again. So you still hear it from time to time, but not as frequently. And there's a sense of the Bush administration as not being competent, which of course you hear in this country as well, that even if Bush has his heart in the right place, he doesn't know how to go about doing this.
Yeah. Do you think that this change of mood among Iranians is because of insufficiency of American military, or what they did in Iraq? Or is it because just sense of nationalism is more, and we don't need you, we don't want you, we are self-sufficient, we can do it? Do you think most of it is effect of what happened in Iraq?
I think most of it is what happened in Iraq, but there is some of the other aspect as well. You know, Ahmadinejad, the president who was elected in 2005, I don't think he's hugely popular. If an election were held today in Iran, I don't think he would win again. But he has a constituency. And one of the issues that he's played on is the nuclear issue, which we'll talk about.
We're going to talk about
that. And he's made that a point of pride in Iran, that Iran can reach this stage of technological development, not only without help, not without much help, from the outside world, but despite sanctions and pressure.
Yeah.
And so that has been an effective propaganda
tool. So in other words,
tool for him.
He knows what button to push.
He does, yeah.
To make Iranians, you know, to bring up that sense of nationalism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. I want to. There are so many things I want to talk about, but before we go to the second part, actually, we're going to have another session with you because we are not finished. This great book has so many nice topics, and I want to have another interview with you. And the audience are going to see you 2 weeks in a row, so they can have
they don't get tired of it.
Comprehensive. No, I'm sure they don't get the whole comprehensive view of this. But what briefly I want to ask you, this recent, let's say, designation of, they call it Revolutionary Guards, that they said put them in the category of terrorism. Just quickly, you can comment on that, and if you're not finished next week, we can talk about it.
The administration hasn't done it yet. There have been stories suggesting they will.
What is your opinion?
I frankly don't think it's a good idea because the Revolutionary Guard Corps has about 125,000–150,000 people in it. Many of them are conscripts, they're draftees. And the Revolutionary Guard, even despite the name, it's become really like the conventional military in Iran. It is the conventional military in Iran, and many of its veterans have important positions in government. And
isn't it that equal to say, let's say, Special Forces of America in some whatever capacity?
Even more, it'd be like saying a branch of the American, like the Navy is a terrorist organization or the Air Force is a terrorist organization. And of course, many of the veterans fought in the Iran-Iraq War, and they were protecting their country against Iraq. And so I think it's, I frankly don't think, I think it's counterproductive.
I think there's another unfortunate comment, such as axis of evil that happened.
Yeah, it's something, it shows that we don't understand.
Such a negative current that it's very hard to get back again to the main course, you know, to the main route.
I agree with you.
So, okay, Barbara, thank you so much for sitting with me and talk about this great book of yours, Bitter Friends, Bosom Enemies. What a nice title. And I will have another sitting with you. And I invite you to be with us next week for the continuation of this interview. Thanks for watching. And until next time, have a happy week and healthy one.